Assalamualaikum to everyone. So my group consists of KHAIRUL, AIMIE NAJIHA, ALYSSA NABIHA, SITI AIDA, and also Tuan and Natasha NADIA. We present about our group assignment, which is Commerzbank AG from Germany for the financial risk management subject. Commerzbank AG is Germany's major bank for the Mittelstand and a reliable partner for over 28,000 corporate client groups and approximately 11 million individual and small business clients. The bank is now operating with over 50 countries and represents nearly a third of Germany's trade finance. It served 30 million consumers in Germany and 5 million users in Central and Eastern Europe in 2017. The empire of Commerzbank started on 26 February 1870, which was 152 years ago in Hamburg. The following banks were represented in the original alliance by Theodore. The subsidiary London and City Bank was established in 1873 and remained in operation just before the First World War. Next is Weimar Republic, which was ruled by Germany from 1919 until 1933. In 1927, Commerzbank expanded its operation in the United States by opening an office in New York and issuing a 10-year, $20 million bond. During the Great Depression of 1931, Commerzbank encountered challenges. Throughout February 1932, the rich government, led by Chancellor Heinrich Brüning, intended to combine Commerzbank with Barmer Bankverein, which had a strong network of branches in Western and Northern Germany. The government and the rich bank purchased the entirety of this bank share. Meanwhile, during the Third Reich, the nationalized shares were repatriated to private stockholders in 1937. Commerzbank actively participated in and benefited primarily from the organization of possession of Jews who were replaced or murdered during the Holocaust. The headquarters of the bank were relocated to Hamburg at the end of the war. With the fragmentation of Europe in the aftermath of World War II, three regional banks merged in 1958 to become Commerzbank AG, which had its headquarters in Düsseldorf. Commerzbank expanded its economic financing activities and began to grow internationally. Since 1970, the bank's administrative service have been based in Frankfurt am Main, which has always been its permanent domicile since 1990. Commerzbank experienced downfall in its devastating venture into investment banking in the first half of this decade, subsequently shutting down its Commerzbank Securities investment banking. What remaining of Commerzbank security was integrated into the commercial banks, corporates, and market sections.
Firstly, we go to the issues on financial risk. COVID-19 has generated significant instability and high volatility in global capital markets, including banking sector. Market risk is the first effect on the bank sector in Germany, which is Commerzbank. Throughout 2019, the market situation has deteriorated even worse. Commerzbank, partially controlled by the German government following a bailout, has been battling for years with a legacy of bad loans, high costs and fines. The other challenges that Commerzbank must face are negative interest rate, increasing regulation and tough competition. All of this can give a hard strike to the market risk of the financial institution, as said by ongoing finance chief Stephen Angel. All the problem will not make their life easier. Then we go to economic risk. The risk to its outlook have risen in aftermath of Russia's invasion of Ukraine and the sanctions placed on Moscow. As this conflict rises, this will affect the economic risk of the financial institution, including Commerzbank in Germany. Geopolitical concerns may influence economic development through rising raw material costs and sanctions, while Russian counter-sanctions may impact Commerzbank's portfolios. The lenders has begun a bold initiative to reduce expenses and increase profitability. After initially benefiting from a business boom and prospect for rising interest rates, the crisis in Ukraine has placed a pall over the industry's buoyant attitudes. Depending on the economic effect of COVID-19, its estimates risk result in 2021 to range between €800 million and €1.2 billion. The last issue on financial risk is volatility risk. The Russian invasion of Ukraine has shaken global markets. As this conflict occurs, this will affect most of the countries around the world, including Germany in terms of the financial institution volatility risk. In 2021, the share plummets when Commerzbank announced 18% lower sale and a net loss of 527 million euros, both of which were lower than expected. Then the crisis worsened in 2022 as Commerzbank was bracing for more German bankruptcies in the aftermath of the Ukraine crisis. As a result of this occurrence, the number of insolvencies in the market is likely to rise, as well as bank risk provision. Commerzbank in Germany is bracing for more company failure in Europe's largest economy, owing to rising inflation and economic risk compounded by Russia's war in Ukraine. The number of bankruptcies in the market is likely to rise along with the risk.
And for this slide, discuss about how the financial institutions react with this issue. As a result of the analysis of the issues that Commerzbank has faced, the first of which is related to market risk. It is well known that one of the biggest factors that has contributed to this issue and risk is due to the situation regarding the COVID-19 virus that has struck around in 2019. As a result, our research found that the management of Commerzbank reacts with this issue by take steps such as reducing the number of employees that they have, around 4,300 employees by a given region, and the breakdown is according to the type of employees who are full-time employees of around 2,300 employees, and it involves about 5.7% of its workforce to reduce their cost for the labor force. With regard to the next issue, the result of the analysis of the ongoing problems involving the two countries, namely Russia and Ukraine, have indirectly impacted the economy, as it is arguably the economic risk to the financial institution. As a result of our analysis, found that the financial institution we have chosen, which is Commerzbank, has reacted to this issue by discontinuing new operating service and has also closed their existing branch for Commerzbank in each of its branch in Russia, which has increased their existing risk level in the face of COVID-19. And estimates show that the risk results amount to approximately between 800 million and 1.2 billion recorded in 2021. And lastly, with regard to the next issue related to the volatility risk faced by Commerzbank, which involve a growing level of inflation, this can be evidenced by the result of the Department of Labor, which made an announcement in June 2021 regarding the increase in consumer prices until May of a 5% increase from the previous year, as well as the highest rate of inflation in the period of 13 years. This is the impact we can see because of COVID-19, as well as the factors of the Russian-Ukraine conflict. As a result of our analysis, we found that how Commerzbank reacts with this issue is that they encourage variable rate lending now. It is an ideal time to promote credit cards with variable credit card rates, in addition to consumer loans and including business loans, and taking the initiative by shortening the maturity rate given by Commerzbank for only 2 to 3 years compared to the previous year, which is they have 5-year period. When the shorter the maturity rate is less and less risk faced in terms of volatility and interest rate. And it can be seen that most of the portfolio is already sealed with a floating rate. And for that, that's all from me.
Next, I will be explaining about the main causes of problems faced by the financial institution, which is Commerzbank AG. The Manhattan U.S. Attorney is looking into allegation of violation of money laundering regulation against Commerzbank AG, the second largest lender in Germany, according to the Wall Street Journal on February 13, 2014. This case is a continuation of a pattern in which US law enforcement is looking into non-US institutions for breaking anti-money laundering, tax evasion, and censure rules after failing to bring high-profile criminal charges relating to the 2008 to 2009 financial crisis. In 2015, the largest banks in Europe came under intense scrutiny from US authorities. In order to settle a number of claims in the US, Commerzbank of Germany agreed to pay close to the $1.5 million and sack some of its employees. One part of the lawsuit was on Commerzbank relation with Iranian firms that the US had placed on its blacklist, proving that the bank processed hundreds of millions of dollars on their behalf through the US financial system. In conclusion, the Commerzbank settlement represents yet another incident in which federal and New York authorities levied significant fines on a non-US bank for failing to disclose the involvement of sanctioned nation and individual while conducting business with the US financial system. The settlement have a number of noteworthy features that stand out and seem to follow a clear trend in the application of a sanction to non-US bank. The settlement also highlights the significance of banking institutions having a strong anti-money laundering compliance system with knowledgeable staff who implement procedures to identify, detect, and halt the processing and transaction of illegal funds. Secondly, the misleading statement. The Commodity Futures Trading Commission (CFTC) has filed and decided to settle charges against Commerzbank AG for a number of violations of the Commodity Exchange Act (CEA) and CFTC regulation, including failing to observe its swap dealers' activities for more than 5 years and making false and substantially misleading statements to the CFTC regarding its swap dealers' operation and compliance with the CEA and CFTC regulation. Since December 31, 2012, Commerzbank AG, a multinational banking and financial services firm with headquarters in Frankfurt, Germany, has been provisionally registered with the CFTC as a swap dealer. Commerzbank is required by the CFTC order to pay a $12 million civil monetary fine and to carry out certain obligations, including hiring an outside consultant to review swap dealers' compliance for a period of 2 years and to produce annual report evaluating the swap dealers' adherence to the CEA and CFTC regulation during that time. For a period of 2 years, Commerzbank must report annually to the CFTC on its compliance with the order requirement and swap dealers and its corrective action. Lastly, the market manipulation. German Commerzbank was penalized £650,000 by the Cyprus Securities and Exchange Commission for market manipulation in relation to the operation and role of the now defunct Lucky Bank in the years leading up to the financial crisis and the subsequent bailing of the Cyprus banking sector in 2013. CYSEC announced that it had finished looking into what it called historical market manipulation involving Commerzbank AG and Cyprus Popular Bank. Additionally, it was discovered that CPB gave orders for the purchase of its own share to Commerzbank London branch through a specific individual, detailing the price and in certain circumstances, the specific of the order submission to the Athens Stock Exchange. As instructed by the CPB, Commerzbank forwarded the orders for execution to the Investment Bank of Greece SA, a CPB affiliate. Given that more than 8 years had passed since the infraction, CYSEC said it was a mitigating element in its decision to punish German Bank £650,000.
Okay, next, I will continue with the strategies adopted by the financial institution. For the first one, a restructuring effort. The earning capacity of Commerzbank limits its rating. Besides that, they trust that the restructuring will have a short-term impact on revenues. Cost reduction is critical to Commerzbank's strategic approach, and they believe that there is less emphasis on revenue growth. For years, Commerzbank experienced high costs and weak revenue growth, which has been severely affected by low interest rate. They also made a campaign for the spread on the promise of reducing government influence in business and reducing state ownership of private sector companies. Besides that, they also agrees to support and approve the view that a private sector bank linked Commerzbank should not be a shareholder of the government. For the second one, which is improve compliance function. When there was money to be made, Commerzbank ignored its anti-money laundering accord with the principle. Banks that disregard the law of those in charge of compliance will pay a high price. The majority of the total settlement will go to the TFS, which will receive 610 million for money laundering and sanction violation. Another 300 million will be handed over to victims of the ALYSSA, all fraud by the U.S. Attorney Office in Manhattan. The bank stated that it enhanced its compliance function in recent years and had taken steps to address the shortcomings that have resulted in the fine imposed by U.S. authorities. Okay, next for the third strategy is to reduce staff levels and plans to sell a stake. Throughout in 2019, the market environment has deteriorated even further. The supervisory board accepted the decision to sell a stake in mBank MBK. The lender announced the strategic shift last week. Then, the board of directors approved the measures. Regarding to the plan, the bank will reduce 4,300 jobs in certain areas while adding 2,000 jobs in strategic positions, at the same time reducing the group workforce by about 2,300 full-time positions, or equal around 5.7% of its manpower. The sale of mBank will result in even more job cuts. According to a spokesman, the number of employees will be reduced to 29,300. And next, they are providing customers with accessible financial data. They create the digital account analysis tool possible to track financial data, such as to create accurate balance sheet of income and expenses for customer account by using this kind of tool. This enables customers to optimize their income and spending habits over time.
As for recommendation, first and foremost, we recommend that Commerzbank AG have their own risk policy guidelines, identifying all the substantial risks and risk drivers, independent assessment and evaluation of these risks, and also subsequent risks and performance management as part of the risk strategy are critical components of effective risk management. Commerzbank has several challenges, including market risk, economic risk, and volatility risk. Therefore, by using risk policy management, Commerzbank can effectively monitor and control their risk exposure. Apart from this, we advocate enhancing regulation of related party risk and bid acquisition, as well as reforms in corporate governance, internal audit, and compliance operations. We advocate for simplifying decision-making procedures in day-to-day supervision for Commerzbank to the greatest degree possible while within the present legislative structure. Ultimately, we recommend ensuring compliance of the lesson from Commerzbank Lander's mistake. Continuous monitoring is an essential role in reducing the danger of money laundering and maintaining compliance with best practices. Companies must make sure that monitoring systems are suited for purpose from the start and that they are checked and updated frequently. That's all from us. Thank you for listening. That's all from us. Thank you for listening.